Present.
Thank you, and the minutes will also indicate that is present as our village engineer and our public works supervisor. As Secretary indicated, I am sitting in tonight for Committee Chair Head, who is out of town, but we do have a quorum, and so we do have a legally constituted meeting. The minutes of our last meeting, which was held on the 17th of June, have been distributed for prior review. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes as distributed? And I have none, and seeing none, therefore the minutes will stand approved as distributed. Shopyards project. Kevin, I think you're going to bring us up to date on that, and this should pretty much wind it up, I would think, aren't we?
This should be the last
Okay.
of it, project
Here's
wise.
your report.
Okay, so project update. Since the last meeting, been working with the contractor, finalizing all the quantities, went out and did some as-built. And guess we'll jump right into it. Item number B, which would be the final pay app. There's a handout that's been provided. And so this is basically everything that's been agreed upon as part of the final costs for the project, construction dollars. And so basically where the project came in at is $343,253.59. So what I did is look back to when we actually bid the project out, and the original contract price was $359,128. So looks like we came in about $16,000 less than what the original bid was when we did finalize all the numbers out. So we're recommending this would be payment item number 3, which would be the final, in the total amount of $45,336.64 to Total Excavating. There is some paperwork that we do need from them, which would be their state wage rate affidavit and lien waivers. But I'm anticipating that we'll have those for the village board meeting in August.
Kevin, would this be the absolute final payout to them? Is there any retainage, or would this pay them in full?
That would pay them in full.
I seem to recall late last fall, there were some unresolved items, some minor items, sticks above the water, a sprinkler head issue, just a couple of little issues that we're going to get taken care of. Have those been resolved, Mark or Kevin?
Yeah, they have.
They're all done.
Okay.
Yep. Everything.
There's nothing that's unresolved.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. All the punch list items have been addressed.
Okay.
Yep.
And the gentleman that had the sprinkler head issue, everybody's satisfied. They're
We actually, the sprinklers were,
The sprinklers
they
were
were
there.
there. We did find,
Yeah.
when we did a visit out there in the springtime, they were there.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
But, so there was really no
Okay, but
correction.
everybody's,
Yep,
nobody's going to come in 2 months and say, what about something?
yep.
Okay.
The fence has been addressed. That's
Okay.
been replaced on Collins' property.
Mm-hmm.
And all the other items as part of the punch list have been
Okay,
taken
good.
care of, so.
Rod, any questions?
Nope.
Chair would entertain a motion then for the approval and recommendation to the board of the final pay request number 3 in the amount of $45,336.64.
A second. Or I need a
Are
motion.
you moving?
Yep.
You're moving, I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor of recommending then to the full village board this payout, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And oppose, and that is carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Yes. So,
What I've heard from the public has been good about this. Public was,
good.
those that were aware of the project, at
Yeah.
least.
I think it's cleaned it up
Yeah.
dramatically
It,
down
it,
there.
it looks very nice down there, and, yeah,
Yep.
so I think it was a good job, all concerned.
Thanks.
Anything else on the shop yards?
So basically, we'll jump into item number C, which is a final assessment report. Now that we have all the final numbers put together, finalized. So basically, we can go ahead and execute the final assessment report. You have a copy of that It's been provided tonight. And like everybody's aware, the sewer and water, the village already has a sinking fund. So those costs will be picked up by the village. And the only thing that's gonna be assessed would be for the street reconstruct down there. And what was agreed upon, basically when we went through the preliminary assessment report, is 50% would be picked up by the village and the rest would be assessed to the benefiting property owners. So basically, we'll jump to Schedule C. Towards the end of the report. That would be Appendix A. Final assessment report, Schedule C, there's a spreadsheet that has been provided. So we have 9 different property owners down there, including the village, that's gonna be assessed. And when you take in what the final numbers were, divided by 2, the assessable cost is $49,263.04. So that includes construction dollars, engineering, and admin. So that dollar amount divided by 9, their assessments are gonna be $5,473.67 for each parcel. Now, when you compare that to the preliminary assessment report, again, these are all based on estimated quantities, unit prices.
It's quite a bit less, as I recall, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually ended up being quite a bit less. We were anticipating, they were gonna be, if I have that right handy, but it was gonna be around 7,000, a little over 7,000. So it's a savings of like $1,675 less per parcel is where the numbers came out. So, which is a good thing, because then we don't have to go through another public hearing. So this actually will be brought up at the August board meeting for adoption.
And this either could be paid or added to the tax bill and paid over
Yep.
a period of time.
Yeah, there's a table that's provided in the report, and with the $5,400, they would be able to pay it back in 8 years if they choose to, which is, I think it's just under $700 per year if they decide to go that route. So, but that's where the numbers came in at. Is there any questions?
Very equitable.
Yeah, for what was done down there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it came out pretty, real well. The bids came in lower and we were able to save some of the base course down there and resalvage and reuse, so that lowered the cost overall as part of the street reconstruct, so turned out pretty well.
Okay. I don't think we are going to need a motion on this. This will simply go to the full board for recommendation and adoption, I
Yep.
think, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay, good job. Any questions, Ron?
No, sir.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Are you going to be handling item 4 as well, I believe?
Oh, yeah, yes.
East
Okay.
Bank
Yeah.
situation?
Yes, okay, so another handout that's been provided, we opened up bids yesterday. It's in regards to the insulating down in the East Bank condominiums. Fortunately, we had two contractors that did submit bids yesterday. Unfortunately, we had to reject one of them. There was an addendum that went out. And the one bid didn't have that. when he submitted his,
So the bid was rejected because it didn't comply with the plans and specs then?
yeah, the
Okay.
addendum.
Okay.
There was a revised bid sheet that was as part of the addendum, and it didn't include that. So on the second page of the handout, these are all the different items that went as part of the project. And you can see at the bottom, when you add in for the water main and the street, it came in at a little over $45,000, just construction costs. And that was,
Refresh our memory, when we originally estimated this and we talked about it, I just don't recall that number.
the village board approved up to $30,000.
30. Okay, so this is significantly above what we estimated.
Yes, yep. And, you know, lately, we've been bidding out some projects, and unfortunately, we've been having to reject those. Contractors are fairly busy, and because of the weather, the late spring, everybody's backed up, and that's why you're seeing prices escalating.
If we rebid this project, we would anticipate not doing it then this year. Would that be the expectation?
Yes,
You rebid it in the spring.
yep. Like,
What's the final date? Somebody can start that.
Final date this year.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to get started end of August to be able to get.
yeah, I had a,
You're not going to get it this time of the year now. It's going to be hard to get, even if we decide to rebid her for next month and else, you're actually going to,
yeah.
you're not going to get any better prices.
Better get some keys made so you can go start those toilets down there.
And we had a later, completion date too, just to try to give some flexibility for contractors, and you can still see the numbers came in quite a bit more. I was thinking around 25,000 for the project, but some of these smaller projects, it's kind of hard to estimate because they're small, but,
Well, we've got mobilization costs to come to a job, whether it's a
That's the
big one or a
biggest
little one.
yeah, yep.
So we're gonna miss the window then on them with their parking lot?
Well, basically, they've already told me that they're not planning on doing the parking lot until next year.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we actually met with them, what, about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, with the association.
Okay.
So they were aware of, what our
They-
timelines
They were
were.
hoping to have us come in and do the thing and then just let the gravel sit over the winter time and let it settle and then pave in the spring, or pave, next summer. But now with these prices and everything else, we're just basically gonna have to tell them, hey, we need to do the project hopefully early next year and they can pave later next year.
Yeah.
So prices when you bid out for spring generally
Well, it'll be cheaper.
a little bit
Yeah.
cheaper than in the.
Because then people are looking for work. Right now, they got so much work that
Yeah,
they're,
it's such a
So maybe that's the
backlog.
best case scenario then is.
I think that makes sense.
the best case scenario, hopefully when we get to the 5-year thing, would be to actually tie this in with another project, then we'd even get better prices.
Right. Bigger scale, yep.
But as long as the East Bank's aware of everything.
We'll have
Yeah,
to-
we wanted to bring it in front of you
Before we
tonight,
contact them.
and then we were gonna
Oh.
make contact with them after you guys made a decision, so. Just to let them know what the Public Works position is on it, so.
Well, I think this makes sense. I mean, this is significantly more than we anticipated, and with
Yeah.
only one bid.
Yeah.
Yep. It's hard to
Yeah.
compare when you only have one. Yeah. So, this will be the third one we've rejected now this year, so
So I'll move for motion.
Yeah, if you move to reject it, I'll second that.
Okay, I'll move to reject the bid from Albright's and Excavating and rebid the project for early next year.
Second. Any additional discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, and that bid is rejected. I think that makes sense, Kevin. I appreciate your diligence on that.
No brainer.
yeah.
Storm sewer repairs. Boy, we seem to be having a lot of them.
Basically, we have a sinkhole that's formed at, in front of 519 4th Street North, most likely due to a storm sewer joint failure. And then we also have a catch basin that is basically completely starting to deteriorate and collapse down in at the intersection of Howland Street and Riverside Drive. So I recommend having Zappa Brothers repair both the storm sewer and the catch basin.
Well, when these things occur, unfortunately, we really don't have much of an option. They need to be fixed, because they just don't get better.
And the thing is, then we don't have the amount of manpower to do it ourselves, so.
Yeah, I read this earlier, Mark. I don't have any difficulty with this. The contractor certainly does good work, and we've got the funds in the storm sewer maintenance fund, so. Any questions from you, Rod?
Nope.
If you will move to recommend this to the board, I will second it.
I move that we have Zappa Brothers Incorporated repair the storm sewer main in front of 519 4th Street North at a cost not to exceed $4,965. And also having Zappa Brothers rebuild the catch basin at Helen Street North and Riverside Drive North at a cost not to exceed $3,975.
I'll second that. Any additional comments or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. Then we've got manhole repair on Riverside Drive, sanitary sewer manhole. Mark?
Basically, we have a sanitary sewer manhole as you go down the hill, Riverside Drives. There's a catch basin, well, actually, I'm sorry, a sanitary sewer casting in that area that's actually dropping quite low. We noticed it during the winter. We thought it might have been frost heave. After examining it this spring, we're finding out that the manhole O-rings are actually underneath the casting. They are deteriorating. And we're recommending that, basically I recommend having Zappa Brothers repair the casting. Actually repair the manhole and to get her back up to where it's supposed to be.
I'm losing my place here.
Yeah. This one.
That's my other one. Oh, yep.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I motion that we have Zappa Brothers Incorporated repair the sanitary sewer manhole in front of 1152 Riverside Drive North at a cost not to exceed $1,970.
Second. Any additional comments or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. That also will come out of the 201 Sanitary Sewer Maintenance Fund. And we've got a number of gate valve boxes.
Yep. Basically what these gate valve boxes are for is they're actually to give us access to the valves that are underneath the street, usually 7 to 8 feet down. Unfortunately, with these things, what happens is sometimes frost lifts these during the wintertime when we're plowing, and our plows snag them and break them off. Basically, and that sometimes you start getting water in underneath them and they start causing sinkholes and everything else. So you have in front of you is a list of actually valve boxes that need to be basically repaired, replaced. The only one I think on the agenda that has an H, and actually it's H was, we took care of that one ourselves. It was out in out in the grassy right-of-way area, so we actually replaced that one ourselves. So what I'm recommending is that 8 valve boxes you have listed on your issue statement be repaired by Zappa Brothers.
So one has been repaired. There are really only 7 that are
Yeah, it's
right
actually
here.
it's A through G. Yeah, actually, there's 8 of them altogether because you have 2 at Helen Street. At 11958 Helen Street, there's 2 valve boxes
Oh, I see.
next
Okay.
to each other.
All right.
So there's
all right.
still 8, but it's
All right,
just...
I got you. Yep. I didn't see that.
Yep.
What's involved in repairing these? Is a new gate valve installed, or is it just the
No,
top
no,
section, or what?
It's just sections. Most of the time you have to replace either top, first, or it's actually most excuse me. Most gate valve boxes, if they're 7 to 8 feet deep on that, there's anywhere from 3 to 4 sections on a gate valve box. It's all done, basically each section's somewhere around 28 inches long,
Okay,
and they screw together so you can adjust them and everything else. But basically what happens is, all they're doing is you gotta remove the asphalt from the street, dig down enough to replace the sections that gotta replaced, and then put all the base back in, compact the street, everything else, repave. So,
well, I'm not saying they don't need to be repaired, they do, but I was only reacting to the fact that it's an expensive repair to fix these things.
because that's the biggest thing, is you actually gotta take care of traffic control, you gotta do everything else, because most of them are sitting in the middle of the street, middle of a drive lane, you're digging up asphalt to,
So
You know-
in your years of experience this winter, kind of just wreaked havoc on.
oh yeah, we had so much frost that it was raising stuff
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We were hitting valve boxes, manhole castings,
I mean,
that's why, that's the biggest thing, is our hot patching loss. A lot of the hot patching that we took care of last week or last month actually get approved and everything else. A lot of that is manhole castings, everything else. We have valve box castings that made it through, but now the asphalt has to be built up around them, just or else they're gonna get snagged by plows and stuff like that, so.
You know, you mentioned traffic control. Earlier, when we were coming in, I just mentioned that there was a truck at my intersection today, and I didn't know if they were videoing or what they were doing. Mark said they were water jetting the storm sewer. But it was just bizarre to watch what cars do when they come up to that truck in the intersection. I mean, some people will, since the truck is there, then there must not be a stop sign. So then you come up and you pull up to the truck and you look around the truck, and other people will go behind the truck. It should,
Some go around in the other lane for some reason. There's a lane you can go
people
through.
just go Looney Tunes sometimes when there's construction
You
going
gotta see
on.
the stuff going on in Sixth Street down there right now. It's like,
Oh, I can't
What happens?
Just be careful when you're out there.
oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know why more
I
workers
had more than one
aren't hurt.
safety vest ripped off me as I worked here.
It's just,
That's
it's
crazy.
just nuts. Well, these have to be fixed. Rod?
A motion that will have Zappa Brothers Incorporated repair the 8 gate valve boxes listed above at a cost not to exceed $11,588.
Second. Any additional discussion or comments? By way of information, this will also come out of the Water Maintenance Fund. This will come out of the 220 Fund. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. Okay, 5-year capital plan.
So,
Did you have a sheet with this, Kevin, or just a little?
just the map.
Okay.
Yep, just a map. So there's another handout provided. It's the one that 2014, 2018 CIP projects. Something that we've been looking at over the years and just, revising it here. Now it's Shop Yards project is off the list. The next ones that we've been looking at doing is the Pine Street and Lakeview Drive. More than likely, those would probably be tied together, just because there's some sewer work that would need to take place if we decide to extend that down on the south side of Lakeview Drive.
Mm-hmm.
We would definitely have to tear that up to get that work done. So those two projects would be tied together. Sixth Street, I think everybody's aware that that's going to be tied to when the state decides to do that project. Existing utilities under there are very old. That would definitely be the time to tackle that project. So a little bit on
What we're hearing on that is, that's probably gonna be like 2020.
2020.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's gonna be a ways out,
And that'll be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
My goodness.
Yep, I think there was,
That's why I guess I'd recommend trying to get some of these projects out of the way before that one, so we have a little bit of time to build up some replacement funds again before.
yeah, that's gonna be a very, very expensive. I think there's about a mile of pipe, if I remember right. What? Between the sewer and the water.
And that
so-
is some of the oldest piping in the village, under Sixth, right?
Yep. So. And then the Wisconsin Street project, if you remember, the village was awarded the design funds. We applied for that STP.
Mm-hmm.
We were successful in getting the design dollars. We did apply for the last funding cycle. Fortunately, we weren't able to get construction dollars for that, but when the next round comes out, we'll be reapplying at that time. So I think the village position is that one will not move forward until we get construction dollars from the state. And then we have Lemon Street on here. And that's, the main thing there is upsizing the main in that street, just because you have the water tower up on the north side. There's, as part of the Shop Yards project, we have a 10-inch main that ties on to Monroe Street. Monroe Street already has 10-inch from 4th up to,
11th Street.
yep, up to Lemon Street. So, as part of the goal is we'd have a 10-inch main all the way from the tower with the Lemon Street project.
Yeah,
So if I'm hearing you right, then we have, in effect, a bottleneck from that water tower down to Monroe over to the shop yards?
no, correct as of right now, yes.
Yep, as of right now.
So you have an 8-inch main feeding a 10-inch main. And actually, you're better off having I think it's a 6-inch main feeding a 10-inch main. So you're better off having, for better fire flow and everything else, the best thing we could do is hook onto that, run a 10-inch all the way up and tie into the water tower.
Yep, direct route right down to the.
And also, yes, we have sanitary sewer issues in that. We had that sewer foamed a few years ago just to take care of all the root problems that are in that sewer. That's why part of this thing I actually got costs on what it would cost to televise everything that's on this capital improvement list. I have those with me. Because what Kevin's gonna need for engineering purposes, someday he's gonna need to, he's gonna need engineering thing if we decide. If we wanna move forward with one of these projects next year, we're gonna have to televise those sanitary sewers, so he has a good look at what's in there.
But when everything is looped, surely there is another route from that water tower over to the shop yards other than coming down Lemon, isn't
Oh,
there?
yeah, there's more than one routes, but that, during a heavy fire situation like we had in the shop yards a few years ago, that 10-inch is gonna take the volume of the water from that tower is gonna go to that 10-inch.
Yeah, it's like, that's something that Hudson Utility is always.
Yeah, that Hudson Utilities had that on the list quite a while. That's why when we did the Monroe Street project back in '97, that's why we put such large pipe in. We went from a 6-inch to a 10-inch.
How would, without making this overly complicated, how would water from the tower up north of, what's the address of it? I mean, by the ball fields, north of me. How would water get from that tower to the shop yards?
Basically, well, all that
It
comes.
it wouldn't go down the same route.
No, it actually would come down Deer Path, Summers, and then Fourth.
Summers,
Be
okay,
the largest pipe.
okay. And that's 10-inch?
Actually, most of that is, right now, to the booster station, everything else, that's all 8-inch. And actually, you have to remember the Fourth Street well is also gonna kick on at that time. And Fourth Street well and Fourth Street North End Road, that'll kick on too, so they'll be feeding water directly from the well to the fire situation.
How big a fire
Oh.
you gonna start?
No, were you here when the warehouse fire was? I was up that night, next day.
We had trucks from,
Yeah.
I don't know how many mutual aid situations hauling water.
51 units, 51 departments, some type of help.
Yeah.
I'm as far away from the other side of Eau Claire. Tanker trucks.
The river's right there.
Yeah, in the middle of winter time, it's kind of hard to punch through them.
Yeah.
And we spent more trucks sitting in our public works garages thawing out than we had anything else.
Wow.
Well, I would agree with your observation, Kevin. The time to do infrastructure is when you're doing the surface at the same time, so it's a coordinated project. So the anticipation would be 2018. Unless that would be backed up because Sixth Street gets slid. With that.
Either that or else we move it forward.
Yeah.
Either one. I guess I'd look at the list of streets that have to be done and everything else myself. And this is just my opinion. I know, Darrell, you've heard this before.
Yeah.
My recommendation next year would be to do the Lakeview Drive Pine Street project. Because right there we have 3 residents there that right now are on sanitary sewer. They do not have access to, and the thing is, they do not have to hook up to it, but the village is supposed to give them a chance to hook up to sanitary sewer. So, and the largest thing is, that street is completely, if you look at what its basic code is, everything else, it's only a 1. That street is totally failed. There's nothing we can do with that street anymore. We did some cutout and patching last year and everything else. The street is in total need of reconstruction. But to be able to do that sewer, to actually get sewer all the way down to the end of Lakeview Drive, to be able to gravity feed, we have to lower the sewer that's in Pine Street. And we actually,
How much?
7th Street.
Lowered, how much?
No, it has to be dropped enough so we get flow. I know we did sanitary sewer on 7th Street when we did the 7th Street project to make sure that everything could flow to the 7th Street sanitary sewer. But we would have to lower the.
So it'd be a lot of excavation is what you're saying.
And at the same time, you got, most of those houses on Pine Street are being, their domestic water supply right now is being supplied by a 2-inch water line. 2-inch galvanized water line. There is a 6-inch also in there right now, but that only supplies water to the fire hydrants that are on Pine Street and Lakeview Drive.
Well, would it make sense then, based on this discussion, to move Sixth Street, which is right now showing 2016, to the end of the line so everything else falls forward? Because it seems to me that that's going to be not in 2016, it's going to be later, and these others are going to move up. Would
Yeah.
make sense to adjust these as far as recommendation of the board?
I myself, I would, if I was gonna order, put them in order, I'd put Lakeview Pine hopefully next year, and combine that with the East Bank. And you're gonna get a lot better prices on both, just because that's one large project, even though they're in 2 parts. You're gonna get more bidders bidding on it, you're gonna get better unit prices.
Well, and geographically, they're relatively close as far as the contractor mobilizing for the projects.
Then, next one after that, I'd recommend doing, Lemon Street, get that water main adjusted, replace that sanitary sewer. Would be number 2. And then the village at that time might wanna sit and let its, water sewer replacement funds actually build up. Because once you get to 6th Street, Kevin, that's gonna be quite an expense.
Yes, it is.
Definitely.
So then,
So you go Lakeview Drive to Pine.
I do
Lemon
Lakeview
Street to
Drive, Pine,
Michelson.
and then do, Wisconsin Street, the thing we're looking at there is Wisconsin Street, the sanitary sewer, we have some issues. But the thing is, it's, as long as we keep the treatment plant up here clean and everything else, we haven't had any problems. But it is something that has to be addressed someday. And you could actually, and there's a very good chance, you're only going from 6th Street down to basically almost to 3rd Street, basically halfway between 4th and 3rd, because we did a 2000 project, we actually did 3rd Street and the rest of Wisconsin Street down to Galahad Road. So you're looking at a small project there, and that could easily be tied in with something else.
Yeah, especially if you get funding for it, because the state picks up 80% of the cost, not including sewer and water. But
Right. Well, I think for planning purposes, Mark, your recommendation makes sense. I would be agreeable, Rod feels, I'd be agreeable from the standpoint of the committee to use that information for planning purposes, at least at this juncture,
Yep.
because it would match what is more likely to happen. Why don't you, Kevin, make those changes here on the, you've got this in a computer database, so
Yep.
make those changes as we
Okay,
take this to the board and use it for planning purposes. I think that makes sense.
okay.
Could I, that's one other thing too, is try to move this forward. What I'd like to see this committee, right now, tonight, is I'd like to see you guys give Kevin and myself some kind of a okay to actually have Kevin start preliminary cost estimates to bring back on the possibility of doing the Lakeview Drive Pine Street project next year as a project, and have it for the committee next month.
Well, yes, I think we would need to do that, so we've got it for budget and
Yeah,
planning
Because
purposes.
I need it for budget.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
definitely. 'Cause if you
I,
are gonna
that
do
just
it,
makes sense.
if you definitely are gonna do it next year, you wanna get out, I'd say around February, March,
Yeah,
get the
put it for
project
bid.
out, so you get some real good numbers.
And tie the East Bank in with it.
Right.
And hopefully by then, we might even hear from the railroad if possible, then we could actually do
Sure.
the looping of the water
Yep.
main altogether at the same time.
You're
and
really
get it all done.
optimistic, aren't you?
Huh?
You're optimistic. What else you want?
Well, gotta live on the cloud,
But I concur with that.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion. I think it's the consensus of the committee that, yes, get the information, because we'll need those figures for budgetary purposes if it's going to be a 2015 project.
Okay.
And maybe frankly, if you could have that on a preliminary basis for us at the August meeting,
Yeah,
so that the committee would have a chance to talk about it before
Yep.
we get into the budget process.
yep, we can get that in the packets. Yep.
Right, good,
Yeah,
good.
Even if Kevin, if you get the numbers together, shoot it to me, that way I got this in case there's some kind of special budget meeting before our next thing, we can at least give them some kind of preliminary numbers.
Sure.
Good, makes sense.
Good job, man.
Anything else on the capital plan? Okay. I think we've looked at both of those items. Public Works budget.
Nope, actually, you got a 5-year capital maintenance plan, that's actually 9.
Oh, I
That's-
overlooked that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's, basically, I gave you, some information, a little packet, I gotta find it myself. Okay, there you go. Basically, what it came down to was, first sheet, I think it has, things says crack filling, the last 4 years of crack filling, and then also the last 4 years of hot patching. Yep. Right. Basically, this is just for information, basically what we have been spending the last few years, what we've been budgeting for and what we've actually been spending. And, this basically gives you kind of a clue where we've been sitting and everything else, and then also a recommendation, basically when it comes to budget time, what I believe the numbers should be for the upcoming season, in 2015. The second thing you're gonna see is basically the same thing for seal coating. And if you go towards the back of the packet, seal coating, you're actually gonna find what was on our agenda, which is it says 5-year capital
Street maintenance plan?
maintenance plan, which I was requested to do this to try to get us some ideas on what our seal coating looks like for the next few years. And basically what I used is using the bid prices I got from this year at Farner Asphalt. I just kind of sat down and broke them up by street, how much estimated I figure they're gonna cost using the 2014 bids, which you have to understand they will go up some each year, they always do. But it just kind of gives you an idea where we're sitting at as far as what we're gonna need to budget for within the next few years. Just kinda gives you an idea where we're sitting.
I think the board is engaged on the idea that we can't rob from the seal coating budget as we have in the years past, because we were falling so desperately behind that stepping up this year with a number of $45,000, I think brought it to reality that we just could not fall farther and farther behind. So I think they're ready to realize that the road costs and the infrastructure costs are something that we need to aggressively plan on each year and not delay a year, because then it makes it just more painful to try and catch up in the future.
And an idea is also in front of all you, you had a 2000 budget sheet, basically shows you what we spent on crack fill and seal coating this year, or what was budgeted for this year, and what I would like to see budgeted for next year in the crack filling, the hot patching, seal coating. And you'll see that the numbers, you know, they jump quite a bit from what we've budgeted to what I believe we should be budgeting, so.
Yeah.
And these will be the numbers that, you know, if this committee says, you know, they believe those are the numbers we should be using, then those are the numbers I'm gonna be sticking in the 2015 budget.
Do you have past budgets like 2012, 2010, 2008?
That's what if, these are the last four,
Oh, yeah,
basically
right.
other years that we've even put less money into the budget for this
Yeah.
stuff, and it's just, we're constantly running behind because we're not budgeting.
Exactly.
Right, and you can see 2 years,
Should be
Rod,
budgeting.
we actually didn't do any seal coating in 2 years. We
Yeah.
just were out of money, and then that made the following year.
But I think you're right, though, that people, you know, especially people on the board are slowly realizing that maybe that's not the way to keep up the,
Yeah, you've just got a plan to,
that it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So either we maintain our streets now, or else we reconstruct them later.
that's right. And
It's
reconstructing
costing
is
a
a
lot more
lot more
money.
expensive. Well, as I indicated, I did look this over earlier today, and even though, as you say, it's a gulp, it's a pill to swallow, I think we need to be realistic. The costs are what the costs are, and if that's what it costs to maintain the roads, we need to be anticipatory of that and place it in front of everybody in the budget process so that there's an awareness factor that that's what it takes to maintain the streets. And at this juncture, what we're doing is trying to have some planning for the budget process, subject to discussion by the full board. But I think, Mark, from your recommendation at this juncture, from a planning standpoint, I don't have any problem with these numbers. I mean, they're preliminary, but they're based on factual information and historical data. So I think they're sustainable from the standpoint of
Yeah.
realistic information.
So do we need to move?
This, the capital thing I gave you just for
This is
information, basically.
This is really discussion, but we're going to move now into
Budget is when you're
budget,
actually.
and I think we can recommend as we begin to talk about the Public Works budget, so. Let's move into that, Mark, then. Let's talk about the 2015 Public Works
Biggest,
budget.
yeah, the biggest thing I need, you know, I'm working on my budget and everything else, but largest items that I need to know on this budget is what are gonna be the capital projects, if any. And I think we pretty much decided that it's gonna be Lakeview Drive.
Well, at this juncture, for planning purposes, yes, I think the consensus of
Lakeview
the
Drive,
of the
Pine,
group.
and the East Bank.
Right. Right.
So that gives me, if Kevin can get me those numbers, I can punch those in to the budget.
Yep.
Then what I also need to know is basically if you guys agree
You've
with
got
the
the
numbers
crack
I
filling,
got
the hot
for
patching, and the seal coating.
Everything else.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I will have my full budget to you guys at the next meeting. But I just wanted to make sure I'm incorporating those larger numbers. Because with the larger numbers in there, I know I'm gonna have to try to find some spots in other places in the budget to try to, you know, even though there ain't a lot of room there, but.
I guess from my standpoint, and this is just me, when I see a recommendation on a budget number, I like to see a number, not a range. So I'm not criticizing it, I'm just saying, if it's 55,000, I'd like to see 55,000 rather than 55
I
to
recommend
60.
my
If it's 60, then it ought to be 60.
If the prices stay the same as they are this year, I'd recommend 55,000. My actual thing is prices are gonna go up, I'd recommend 60,000.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm saying is, from a recommendation standpoint, from you to the committee to discuss, give us a number.
You know, I'm saying 60,000.
Okay.
I would circle that one if I was you.
All right.
That's a number I would go with. I would not feel comfortable with the 55 with seeing the price this year and knowing that prices are gonna go up next year.
Well, and again, that's what I'm saying. If we know what the costs are, then let's deal with that number, even though it's a big one. We better know what it is so that there's not a surprise when we bid it. Okay, well, from the standpoint of recommending, then, well, we're not ready to recommend to the full board these numbers anyway yet. And so I guess
This is
really
just-
at this
this
point,
is
this
just
is
for me
still
to-
discussion.
Yep, it's for me to put it into the
Yep.
budget, everything else, and bring it to you guys next month with the public works budget with these numbers included and, you know, then.
I'm fine with using these for planning purposes at this juncture. Rod, do you have any?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Then, Mark, I think it's the consensus of the committee that we have on a preliminary basis, looked at these numbers and are saying, let's use these numbers, including a seal coating number of 60,000 for the budget process that you'll begin to develop and bring to us for recommendation.
That's what I need.
Okay. Kevin, anything more?
Nope, nothing additional for this month.
You're all talked out.
Yep, quite a few things.
Yes.
For tonight.
Good information, though. Thank you very much. Yeah. Mark?
The only thing I have is, as all of you have noticed, our main drag is kind of busy right now. Q3 contracting is working for XL Energy, replacing gas mains on both sides of 6th Street from Wisconsin Street all the way to Summers Street. They're figuring the project's gonna take them till sometime probably, but with restoration and everything else, they're gonna be here till September, October.
Really?
Right now, they're planning on having everything hopefully done past Michelson Street before Pepperfest. But
Okay.
right now, and they're trying to make everything passable when they can. Anybody that's watching us, I recommend not using St. Croix Street or Wisconsin Street to getting on the highway. Go down to either use the stoplights at Monroe Street or use South Street, because with all the signs that's out and the equipment sitting around and everything else, there's a lot of blind spots in those intersections right now. So this week, they're gonna be doing, or hopefully by the end of next week, they're gonna be done on the east side of 6th Street between Wisconsin and Monroe, and they'll be doing the west side of 6th Street between Wisconsin and Monroe. Then from there, they're moving up to Monroe to Michelson.
Okay.
So,
And when you say they anticipate being farther north at the time of Pepperfest, will the excavated holes and the sidewalks, will that new concrete be poured by
everything,
then?
we're not sure if the concrete's gonna be put back in, but they said they will make sure everything is passable. That means it might be gravel in place of the concrete, instead of concrete pads laid down on the sidewalks, it might be gravel, but everything will be leveled
So
out.
at least it'll be a
Everything will
grade.
Yeah, you
Is
can
that-
ride a bike,
I'm
walk on
starting to-
everything else, so that's.
See a little bit of a liability issue with people walking around
No,
with
no,
after,
No, that's all been discussed.
after they've been at the beer tent and,
No, that's all been discussed, everything has to be passable,
okay.
just like when we do street construction and everything else, so then they know that, so
Put
they're,
a 2x4 across it.
no.
Okay. Future agenda items, anything, deal with budget next month?
One thing, we're gonna have to have the, Kevin's, information for the possible Lakeview Drive, Pine Street.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
change this information as far as the dates are concerned, bring this back to us next month
Yeah,
then
okay.
with,
I think
With
probably
his
what we'll do,
reorder
Kevin,
dates.
is do a 5-year capital improvement plan and then slate, we'll have a B, which will be Lakeview Drive, Pine Street possible project. And then
Yep.
and hook East Bank in with it, try to get it all together.
okay? Any agenda item you can think of, Red?
No.
Okay, with that,
Actually, just one thing under mine, I think the other thing too is I'll probably have you guys, at that time also, I'll have a issue statement for doing the televising that'll be needed for those projects, just so we can also get that
oh,
done.
okay,
So,
all right. Well, with that, our agenda is completed and we're adjourned.
Good job, Marcus.